Have you ever felt that there is a truth so powerful, so impactful, that it has been hidden from humanity out of fear that it would change everything? What if this truth were connected to something that has already been revealed to the world's eyes, but has never been fully understood? There exists a secret guarded for decades within the quietest walls of the Church. A secret so profound that not all popes had the courage to reveal it in its entirety. But in the final days of his life, Pope Francis whispered something that tore through the veil of silence. It was not a political announcement nor a new prophecy, but the confirmation that what many feared was real. He spoke of the third secret of Fatima, and what he revealed changed everything. The story began over a century ago in a small village called Fatima, in the heart of Portugal. 3 children, Lucia, Francisco, and Jacinta, were tending their sheep when, on May 13, 1917, the sky opened. A woman enveloped in light, brighter than the sun, appeared before them. It was the Virgin Mary, and with her came an urgent call to humanity, to convert, to pray the rosary, and to turn their hearts back to God. From that day on, every month, always on the 13th, the lady returned, each time with messages that were clearer, more painful and heavier with warnings. But one of those messages was different. It was not meant to be shared immediately. It was to be kept until the world was ready. And according to heaven's request, this revelation was to take place in 1960. But it didn't happen. Why? Before revealing the answer, I want to extend an invitation to you. If you feel that there's something in the air, an urgency in the times we are living in, if you believe it's no coincidence that so many prophecies are being fulfilled before our eyes, then subscribe to this channel right now. Because here we go beyond the surface. Here we touch the spiritual with reverence and truth. Let's dive together into what many are afraid to speak about. Throughout the apparitions, the Virgin Mary revealed to the 3 little shepherds what would later be called the 3 great secrets of Fatima. The first was a vision of hell. The children saw lost souls screaming in pain, enveloped in flames and torment. It was so impactful that Francisco and Jacinta, still so young, decided to live in penance, offering fasting, sacrifices and prayers for sinners. The second secret spoke of a time of war, even more terrible than what humanity already knew. And it predicted exactly that, World War II. Mary also warned of the need to consecrate Russia to her Immaculate Heart to prevent its errors from spreading across the world. Errors that would bring persecution, moral destruction, and a turning away from true faith. But the third secret, oh, the third, that one was shrouded in silence, fear, and controversy. The Vatican decided not to disclose it in 1960. The official justification was that its content was so disturbing that the world was not ready to understand. But the longer time passed, the more the mystery grew. Would it be the end of the world? A warning about the Antichrist? A spiritual collapse within the Church itself? The questions never stopped. And amidst this labyrinth of uncertainties, courageous voices emerged within the Church, like Archbishop Carlo Maria Vigano, who suggested that the secret spoke of an apostasy, a spiritual fall within the very hierarchy of the Catholic Church. For decades, silence was the only response until the year 2000 arrived. Under the pontificate of John Paul II, the Vatican published a supposed version of the secret containing a symbolic vision, a bishop dressed in white, walking among ruins, dying under a hail of bullets. John Paul interpreted this vision as a reference to the assassination attempt he suffered in 1981. But many theologians and faithful felt that this revelation was only a part, a fragment. Something was missing. The atmosphere of mystery never dissipated. And the question remained, what else was shown to Sister Lucia? Lucia, the seer who lived for many years after the apparitions, was clear in several letters and interviews. The real danger was spiritual. She said that the greatest threat was not physical war, but sin, the loss of faith and indifference to the sacred. The third part of the secret, according to her, spoke of a crisis of faith so profound that it would begin within the church itself. A time when shepherds would lose their way, when the flock would be scattered by false doctrines and by a secularization that would steal the soul of Christ's church. And then came Francis, a pontiff who, from the beginning, was viewed with divided opinions. For some, a prophet of mercy, for others, a sign of a change that brought confusion. But what no one can deny is that more than once he touched on themes that echoed the hidden content of the secret. He spoke of a Christianity without Christ, of a church that risks becoming a spiritual NGO, of a faith that turns into a spectacle, losing its essence. He denounced spiritual lukewarmness, moral corruption, religious indifference, and called the world to a profound conversion. In his final year of life, during a silent homily, Francis revealed that Fatima was not just a memory, but a present reality. And with a grave expression, he said that the time of decision is near. With that phrase, he ignited an alert in the hearts of many. Was he referring to the final content of the third secret? Was time running out? Were the signs being fulfilled before our eyes while the world slept? The answer may lie in the details. In the spiritual earthquakes shaking the church from within, scandals, divisions, conflicting doctrines, the loss of the sacredness of the sacraments. Each sign, a piece of the puzzle. And those who know the message of Fatima understand, the Virgin warned. She said that if the world did not convert, faith would fade in many hearts, and even within the church, those who should protect doctrine would remain silent, or worse, confuse it. Francis, by mentioning the secret, did not do so as one revealing a riddle to satisfy curiosity, but as a shepherd who understood the weight of what lay before his eyes. He did not speak in a tone of condemnation, but of supplication. He asked for prayers. He called for consecration to the Immaculate Heart of Mary, and he reminded us, once again, that the Rosary is not an amulet, but a spiritual weapon. The power of the Rosary, so often repeated by the humble, is what has sustained generations through wars, persecutions, and crises. It was not just tradition, but spiritual resistance. And it is exactly this power that Pope Francis wished to rekindle in the final days of his life. He knew that the battle being waged was not visible to human eyes, but it was fierce. A battle for truth, for the soul of the Church, for the destiny of humanity. Francis, like Lucia, understood that the greatest crisis of faith would not come from outside, but from within. When altars become showcases, when pulpits turn into stages, and when truth is negotiated in the name of cultural acceptance, there, at that exact point, begins the agony of authentic faith. And that is why he insisted so much on a church that goes forth, not a church that flees the world, but one that enters it with courage, with the cross in hand and the gospel in heart. During a spiritual retreat, surrounded by silence and before the Blessed Sacrament, he confided to a small group of religious that the secrets of heaven are not hidden from the pure of heart. And with a steady gaze, he said, "The true secret of Fatima is before us, not behind us. It is in the now." What was once treated as a sealed document, as a distant prophecy, Francis saw as an open reality. The signs were everywhere: the moral collapse of nations, hatred toward life, the devaluation of the family, the loss of faith among the young, indifference to the Eucharist. All of this, according to him, was already the echo of the third secret. In one of his final speeches before thousands of faithful, he proclaimed, "Do not fear the truth, fear indifference." And that phrase reverberated on social media, in squares and in hearts. The Pope, whom many judged as ambiguous, now showed himself firm as a rock, pointing to the path of prayer, penance, and a return to the essence of Christianity. It was not about cold dogmas, but about interior life, about rekindling the flame that the world tries to extinguish. Lucia had already warned. The third secret spoke of a time of great trial for the faith. A time when error would be taught as truth, and truth would be seen as intolerance. A time when priests would lose their spiritual identity, and the sacrifice of the Mass would be viewed merely as a social ritual. Mary appeared in Fatima to prepare us for this time, and now that time has come. In the last Urbi et Orbi blessing Francis gave, his gaze was serene but intense. He did not speak of statistics or social progress. He spoke of the soul, of salvation, of responsibility. He said that the world does not need more opinions, it needs more knees bent in prayer. And as he spoke those words, it was as if a curtain fell before the eyes of many. What was hidden was now evident, not because new documents had been published, but because the secret was never just a text, it was a call. Francis's mission aligned with Mary's mission, to awaken the sleeping, to rekindle faith in the lukewarm, to call the faithful to a radical decision for God. And in doing so, he left us a legacy. It is not enough to know about the secret. We must live as if it has already been revealed. If you've made it this far, do not ignore this call, because it's not just about the Pope. It's not just about Fatima. It's about you, about your soul, about your response to heaven. Consecrate yourself today to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. Pray the Rosary. Offer sacrifices for those who do not believe. Abandon hidden sin. Forgive. Love. Return to God. Because we do not know how much time we have left, but we know what to do with the time that remains. And if this video spoke to your heart, subscribe to the channel now. Here, every piece of content is a step towards spiritual awakening. Activate the notification bell so you don't miss the next episodes. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this message. Because, as Francis said, this is not a time for comfort, it is a time for courage. The secret of Fatima is no longer locked in a vault. It is alive, and it walks among us. The decision now is yours. May the peace of Christ through the Immaculate Heart of Mary be with you, always.